Hi, this is Cassandra Newman, and this is my case study over internet use violations. Category 1 is problem identification and analysis. So we know that Roosevelt High is a prestigious high school in an affluent neighborhood. The principal, Dr. Stephen Forbes, was voted Principal of the Year 2 years ago. And the teacher in question in this case, Cindy Walker, was hired 1 year ago to teach specialized science courses. Ms. Walker has drawn student and parent complaints about the rigor of her courses and teaching style. And Dr. Forbes has tried to instruct Ms. Walker on ways to have more positive interactions with students, but nothing has changed so far. We know that a student made a web page about Ms. Walker that implied someone should kill her, among other vulgar things, and she has suspicions that it was a student named Randy Franks. So B brings us to what do we need to know? The first thing we need to know are the past interactions between Randy and Ms. Walker. We need to know where and when the website was created, where the email to Ms. Walker originated, and of course the school's internet use policy. Identifying the problem. While Ms. Walker believes it could be Randy Franks, many students have complained about her in the past, so we do have to narrow the list of suspects. If Randy or another student used school computers or created the site during school hours, they may be in violation of the internet use policy of the school. But identifying that policy is important in seeing how they may have broken the rules. If Randy used his own home computer or whoever made it, he still may be in violation of several laws, including making criminal threats. So there's that too. And then, as there have been past complaints about Ms. Walker, and being that parents are very involved with their children, there will likely be anger directed toward the school and toward Ms. Walker. So category 2 brings us to our proposed plan of action. Strategy and steps. Number 1, meet with the district IT person and figure out when and where the website was created, as well as who sent the email to Ms. Walker. So in meeting with the IT person, pinpoint which group of students it could have been based upon dates, times, etc. Once this information is obtained, open communication with lawyers to check out the legal implications, not only for general law, but for the school as well. And then decide what type of school disciplinary action is appropriate. And again, meet with school lawyers to determine other appropriate actions to be taken against the students. And then based upon the results of the IT meeting, meet with Randy and his circle of friends individually to identify the role they played in creating the site, making it clear that their actions will be dealt with accordingly and that they will be held accountable. And then advise them of the violations that they committed. And through the meeting, understand why they created the website, and then of course the intent behind it. The parents of those who played a role in creating the site will need to be contacted. You will have to explain the situation, both in terms of school policy violations and legal violations, and explain the discipline that the students will receive. With parental involvement as high as it seems in this school, expect some backlash with that. But ultimately be available to answer questions and have open communication so that all sides receive proper notifications as well as basically the information as it comes forward. Category 3, resolving issues based on promoting the success of all students. So what is best for the students is a hard question, but ultimately what is best for the students is to understand that their actions have consequences, and then those consequences may impact their future. ISLLC Standard 3 seeks to ensure a safe learning environment for all students. Therefore, the situation must be dealt with swiftly and appropriately. Number one, if a student made a web page about a teacher, then what is to stop them from creating one about a fellow student? Which of course would undermine, a safe learning environment. Also, though, students may learn vicariously that such behavior will not be tolerated from students. So that's a hopeful thing as well. B brings us to the resolution to the problem. If evidence points to Randy as the creator of the page, he will be suspended for a period of 2 days or whatever the internet use policy specifies. We'll issue a formal apology to Ms. Walker and of course take down the page. If it is found that he did create the page at school, he will not be allowed to access the school computers for the remainder of the year or whatever the policy dictates. Ms. Walker will participate in further professional development to help her develop better relationships with students. So while she is definitely the victim here, in the past she's kind of brushed off the constructive criticism from the principal, so maybe some other methods are needed in order to make her more successful and make things like this less likely to happen. Category 4, debriefing and reflecting. So as I read through the case, I was definitely uncomfortable, as it's a situation that I think everybody hopes to avoid. I definitely value good relationships with my students and would be very scared, embarrassed to find a website attacking me or my classes. First time I read through it, I also thought that Ms. Walker may have jumped to conclusions about which student she thought was responsible. If she had many students who had complained about her, then it seemed like the list of suspects could have been longer. And lastly, I was feeling that there would be a lot of legal issues involved with the parents of the accused students. Anytime there's legal issues and angry parents, it kind of stresses me out. I don't do well with either of those things, especially together. So those are the things that I was thinking and feeling. Some unresolved issues. Definitely they don't have listed the use or the internet use policy, and having that defined would have made the case a little bit easier to follow. What exactly were the violations that occurred? Basically, was the page created on a school computer? Were there other teachers mentioned on the page? Or was it just Ms. Walker? And again, while she is the victim, how much of her own behavior is contributing to the problem of having issues with students and parents? Category 5, promote the success of all students by acting with integrity, fairness, and in an ethical manner. Demonstrating ethical behavior, we see this because we're taking into consideration current school policies, as well as legal issues stemming from such a web page. Following those set policies demonstrates integrity in holding all students to the same standard. But at the same time, getting to the bottom of the intent of the site gives us a little bit of room to make any concessions that may be necessary. I'm not a big fan of zero tolerance policies, so using our common sense as well in the case, I think, is an ethical decision. In addition, consulting with the IT team in order to understand where the site came from exhibits integrity because we are fully investigating the situation and not just jumping to conclusions. The component 2 part was treating people fairly, equitably, and with dignity and respect. So by listening to Ms. Walker's claims, despite some of her past performances, it shows fairness and respect by the principal. In questioning Randy as well as other students, it shows fairness in trying to understand all sides of the issue and not just blaming one student without some sort of investigation. If we find out that it was Randy, then a formal apology models acting with dignity and respect, and would be a public apology as well, which would model that for other students. Component 3, demonstrate a personal and professional code of ethics. Again, conducting a full investigation into the matter before taking direct action shows devotion to ethical behavior. Compliance with school policy and legal precedent demonstrates professionalism that hopefully other administrators and teachers would model. And resolving the issue between the teachers and student demonstrates a desire for proper conduct and ethical decision making. So that ends it. I appreciate you watching. Thanks.